Go. Yes. The cycle completed itself. The doctor, who had once fed his own father leftovers from his pantry when the old man visited, now received the same treatment from his son. When he would visit his son's beautiful home in San Tun, he would be given yesterday's food, reheated. The grandchildren would eat fresh meals while he sat at the table with scraps. Timothy. How did that make him feel? Go. Like he had been punched in the chest, he said later. Like he couldn't breathe. He told me himself, years afterward, that sitting at that table, eating reheated food while his grandchildren ate fresh pizza, he suddenly remembered his own father. He remembered the last time the old man had visited him, how he had given him leftovers because he said he couldn't afford to order an extra meal. Susan. Did he realize what he had done? Go. That moment, sitting at his son's table, was when understanding struck him like lightning. But understanding came too late. His father had died 2 years earlier. His mother had followed 6 months after that. They had died in that small house, often hungry, always wondering why their children had forgotten them. He could never apologize. He could never make it right. Grace. Softly, that's so sad, Go. Sad, yes. But instructive. The universe was teaching him what his parents had tried to teach him through their need. Respect. Gratitude. The sacred duty of children to honor their parents. But he had to learn it through his own suffering, through his own hunger, through his own abandonment. Philip. What about the other children? The lawyer and the businesswoman? Go. The wheel turned for them too, in different ways. The lawyer, the second son, he had been perhaps the worst of the 3. He had money, more than enough, but he would calculate every rand he sent his parents as if it were coming from his last coin. He kept a notebook of every expense, every amount, treating his own parents like debtors. Sophie. A notebook. He kept track of helping his own parents. Go. Yes. He would tell them, I've already given you money this year. I sent you 3,000 rand in March. That should have been enough. As if love and care could be calculated in a ledger. As if the decades of sacrifice his parents had made for him could be repaid with a few thousand rand parceled out grudgingly. Timothy. What happened to him? Go. His karma came through his profession. He had made his money defending wealthy clients, often helping them avoid their responsibilities. One day, he represented a man who refused to pay support for his elderly mother. The case was simple. The mother was dying, needed medical care, and the son had money but claimed he had no obligation. Grace. He helped someone else do what he had done to his own parents. Go. He tried. But in court, the old woman's lawyer read aloud a letter. A letter the mother had written to her son, begging for help. As he listened to those words in that courtroom, the lawyer suddenly heard his own mother's voice. He remembered letters she had sent him. Letters he had ignored. Susan. What did he do? Go. He broke down. Right there in court. He couldn't continue. The case was postponed. But the damage was done. His reputation suffered. Word spread that he had abandoned his own parents. Clients began to leave. They said, how can we trust a man who wouldn't care for his own mother and father? Philip. Did he lose everything? Go. Not everything. But enough. His practice shrank. His fancy cars had to be sold. His wife left him, saying she couldn't respect a man who treated his parents like financial burdens. And in his loneliness, in his reduced circumstances, he finally understood. But like his brother, his understanding came too late. His parents were gone. Sophie. And the daughter. The businesswoman. Go. Her story might be the saddest of all, because she had been the closest to her mother. As a young woman, she and her mother had been like sisters. They would talk for hours. They would cook together when she visited. But as her business grew, as she became more successful, she began to see her parents differently. Grace. How did she see them? Go. As embarrassments. Their clothes were old. Their manners were rural. Their stories were from a world she had left behind. When her mother would visit her shop, she would introduce her as the cleaning woman to her wealthy customers. Can you imagine? Her own mother. Timothy. That's horrible. Gogo. Yes. And Karma heard every lie she told. Her business was successful for years. She expanded, opened more shops. She became well known in Johannesburg's fashion circles. She wore designer clothes and attended exclusive parties. But then, things began to change. Susan. What changed? Gogo. Her daughter grew up. A beautiful girl, raised with every advantage. The girl became embarrassed by her mother. The clothes her mother wore were last season. Her business was small time. Her manners weren't sophisticated enough. The daughter would introduce her mother to her friends as my mother's business partner or sometimes not introduce her at all. Sophie. Just like she had done to her own mother. Gogo. Exactly. The wheel had turned again. But it didn't stop there. The businesswoman's health began to fail. She developed an illness that required expensive treatment. Her business suffered. The medical bills mounted. And when she needed help, when she needed someone to care for her, her daughter said, "I have my own life now. I can't be responsible for you." Philip. Those were her words. Gogo. Yes. And lying in her hospital bed, paying her bills with the last of her savings, the businesswoman remembered. She remembered her own mother lying sick in that village house, asking for help, and being told the same thing. She remembered every time she had been too busy, every excuse she had made, every lie she had told. Grace. Did she try to apologize? Gogo. To her mother? No. Her mother had died alone while she was at a fashion show in Cape Town. Too busy to visit. Too important to take the time. She tried to apologize. To her mother's grave, tried to bring flowers, tried to make peace with the earth that covered her. But the dead don't answer, children. The dead can only wait for you to join them, to face whatever judgment comes next. Susan. Wiping her eyes, that's so sad, Gogo. Gogo. It is sad. But it's also a warning. A lesson written in pain so that others might learn. The ancestors watch us, children. They see how we treat those who came before us. And what we give out into the world, that is what returns to us. Timothy. Gogo, is this really karma? Or did they just raise their children the wrong way? Gogo. That's a wise question, Timothy. Perhaps karma works through teaching. Perhaps the way we behave becomes a lesson to our children. We think we're teaching them to be independent, to be strong, to prioritize themselves. But what we're really teaching them is that love has limits, that care is conditional, that parents are disposable. Sophie. But Gogo, not everyone who treats their parents badly gets treated badly by their own children. Sometimes bad people seem to have wonderful children who care for them. Gogo. That's true, Sophie. Karma doesn't always work in the ways we can see. Sometimes the punishment is internal.